Bloober Team's Silent Hill 2 Remake was an anticipated release of mine, because I adored the original game and wanted to see more of this world in general. I was, however, like the rest of you guys, was nervous with the way Bloober had a spotty record over the years, worried that they'll change the game's story, characters, or overall feeling too much that it becomes unrecognizable. After selling a liver to play the game early access, I was pleasantly surprised, and found myself enjoying the game a lot with their updates and reimaginings. While there's much to say about this game, what I want to focus for this video is the new and updated cutscenes, but more specifically, the acting/performances, because in this version, Bloober Team has access to actual trained actors with no language barrier, which gives this game more of a Hollywood dazzle. However, was this even needed? Did they even make choices that serve the game's themes and story? Let's try answering this by going through certain characters, comparing moments between them through their actions and line delivery, as well as the updated writing and cinematography. I will also present my opinion and what I think is my personal preference. Also, as a disclaimer, what I say here isn't law. It just comes from my personal interpretation and analysis of the game, as well as my experience as an early career actor and avid video essay enjoyer. So if there's anything that I'm off the mark or something that you want to elaborate on, feel free to discuss it below. Now without further ado, let's begin. For Eddie Dombrowski, I think that they improve upon his character a lot in the remake. To put it simply, the way they presented him is more focused as this self-indulgent, self-victimizing man who loses himself in this unhealthy train of thought of what others perceive of him. And the ways that they show him are, well, for one, they showed his eating habits to be way more gross. The way he sloppily scoops melted ice cream in his mouth, the sounds that he makes as he does, it almost sounds like the worst ASMR video ever. But this allows him to be presented as someone who just gorges mindlessly without a thought. But there was also changes to the script and cinematography to highlight these features, specifically a fixation of his eyes. Let's look at a scene comparison between the first prison interaction with him and right before his boss fight.
Killing a person ain't no big deal. Just put the gun to their head, pow. You killed him? But it wasn't my fault. He made me do it.
Calm down, Eddie. Tell me what happened.
That guy, he had it coming. I didn't do anything. He just came after me. Besides, he was making fun of me with his eyes, like that other one.
Just for that, you killed him?
What do you mean, just for that?
Eddie, you can't just kill someone because of the way they looked at you.
Oh yeah? Why not? Till now I always let people walk all over me. Just like that stupid dog. He had it coming too.
Eddie.
I was just joking, James. He was dead when I got here, honest. Anyway, I gotta run.
You're going out there alone?
Yeah.
Eddie!
In the original, the first thing that happens is that the flashlight shines upon Eddie, who then says the line directly to James. The way this is shown looks like he's presenting to him, almost welcoming him to his mindset, as if we're to understand him and be on his side with these imaginary conflicts he has with others. Then he goes on and defend himself in a way that kind of feels like a schoolyard bully who's been caught by the teacher, specifically the line,
Besides, he was making fun of me with his eyes, like that other one.
I'm not saying personally that this is not a bad thing, it's just that this version of Eddie is kind of painted like he's more of an immature person, that someone that doesn't really get it. But I will say my biggest criticism on this version of the scene is that I don't think Eddie really earned the "I was just joking" line. There wasn't, to me, a build of tension for him to release. It just kind of goes on, and then he just leaves. This is where I'll say the remake version does way better, and I'll show you how.
Ain't no big deal. Just put the gun to their head and...
Eddie?
Oh, hi, James.
What happened here? Who was that?
I don't know. It just came at me.
Okay. So he attacked you, and you shot him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. He made me do it.
Okay, calm down, Eddie. Any idea why he would do that?
I don't know. He came out of nowhere. Tried sneaking up on me in the dark. I heard footsteps, so I turned back and he was right there.
And you could tell that he wanted to hurt you.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way he looked at me, I just had to do it.
He looked at you? I thought you said he came at you.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it in his eyes.
His eyes?
He kept looking at me, making fun of me. I told him not to, but he didn't listen.
Eddie, you can't just kill someone because of the way they looked at you.
You should see your face, James. I was just joking. The guy was dead when I got here. I got you, didn't I? Well, anyway, I better get going.
Wait. You're gonna go out there alone?
Yeah.
In the remake version of this scene, something to take note is that he doesn't even say killing a person ain't no big deal, which is kind of unfortunate because I think it's iconic. But you hear Eddie in the dark say ain't no big deal, which sort of fills in the blanks for you. Your mind has to figure out what he's trying to say here. But then when he says this, James then shines a light into Eddie's lifeless eyes as he delivers the rest of the line. He's not saying it to James, mind you. He has to be awakened from this trance before actually talking to him. Eddie is saying it to himself. He's persuading himself, telling that a life can be easily taken away by a pull of a trigger. This, to me, is way more terrifying because this Eddie is in his own world, looking through his point of view. You are not involved in it like the way the original Eddie does it. You are just a part of him. To him, as he says, you're just like the rest. And like I said earlier, the way the scene ends was really satisfying. The payoff was deserved because there was this rising tension between Eddie and James, this back and forth. He even had a gun pointed at James until he says that he was just joking. This whole ending to this scene is very masterful. It just really gave me chills the first time I saw it. The same kind of presentational delivery happens here in this scene when Eddie shouts about the things people say about him or what they think they're saying about him.
Eddie, what are you doing?
What does it look like? He always busted my balls. You fat, disgusting piece of shit. You make me sick. fat ass. You're nothing but a waste of skin. You're so ugly, even your mama don't love you. Well, maybe he was right. Maybe I am nothing but a fat, disgusting piece of shit. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb, ugly, pretty. It's all the same once you're dead.
I remembered what my acting professor said when I was rehearsing my monologues to them, which was, if you want to show power over another person, you plant and you focus your attention on the person you're speaking to. The original Eddie turns away from James to face towards the bodies, I think. It's as if he's saying that they have been saying those things to Eddie, which I don't feel too strongly about it. What I do feel strongly is the frenetic cutting that, while I understand is supposed to represent Eddie's growing erraticness, but in my opinion it's just nauseating and simply an attempt to support a not so strong acting choice. And then he delivers the rest of his monologue as if he is in the right and completely justified in his actions. It's a very villainous way of delivering that monologue, like he's some big bad guy in a D&D campaign.
And the corpse can't laugh.
However, he is completely unhinged in the remake.
You fat, disgusting piece of shit, you make me sick. You gonna cry, fat ass? You gonna run to your mama? Waste of skin, why don't you just kill yourself? Oh. Maybe he was right. Maybe I am nothing but a fat, disgusting piece of shit. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb, ugly, pretty. It's all the same once you're dead.
Wasn't that more terrifying? While he doesn't plant, his shifting in place allows him to show this rising energy, like he's a bomb about to explode. He also keeps his eyes square on James because he wants him to hear exactly what he wants, word for word. Also, notice what the camera does at this part too, where there's this one angle where it's below the two of them, but it makes James appear smaller. The second cut puts a square onto Eddie, but we're forced to look at him square in those eyes. Eddie then delivers the rest of the monologue in the same spoiled spirit as the original version, but there's layers of insecurity and rage that reads like he's a victim of the world, like it is pushing him down and he's lashing back out against it. He even makes his final point by shooting at a corpse. The writing, the cinematography, all in conjunction with a great performance by Scott Haining, made Eddie a more interesting character than the original. However, all of this cannot be possible if it weren't for the groundwork laid by David Schauffele. In terms of Angela Orozco, don't be mad, but I kind of think the original is a bit better than the remake in my opinion. But first, let me explain myself. I understand that original Angela did not leave a really good first impression with some questionable line delivery.
Lost?
But there's something about the original that hits for me way more harder than the remake. Let me explain. Angela is a teenager who is, I believe, 16 or 17 when the game starts. But according to Team Silent, the trauma that she faced and endured the majority of her life, because of it, it ages you by a lot. Which is why I think they decided to cast Donna Burke as the original Angela, who I believe was around her late 30s or 40s at the time. So her overall vocal quality displays that. It's weird. You don't really hear a voice of a teenager, but a woman who was forced to grow up fast, which sets this dissonance of image that really fits with the overall presentation of the game.
Me too. I'm looking for my mama. I mean my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her.
In the remake, they casted Gianna Keel as Angela, who really nails this version of the character who experiences learned helplessness. Someone that is plagued with suffering every day and can't do much of anything about it, and that all of it is her fault. She also really broadcasts her responses to these traumas very well. It feels like a snap of a twig or a flick of a switch will instantly activate her fight or flight response. ultimately a more nuanced and focused performance like Eddie's, but I prefer Burke's version for a few reasons. Let me try to explain it by using the most infamous and my personal favorite scene, the flaming staircase.
Mama? Mama, I was looking for you. You're the only one left. Maybe then I can finally rest. Mama.
For this scene, I merely want to highlight two major lines and compare between them. The "or maybe you think you can save me" lines, and the legendary "for me it's always like this" line for the specific ways they are delivered and even where they pause and put emphasis to show their differences and ultimately my preference of delivery.
Sorry, Angela. I think you were right. What we're looking for, it's not here. Not anymore.
Thank you for helping me earlier. But I wish you hadn't. Even Mama said it. I deserve what happened.
No, Angela, that is not true.
Don't pity me. I'm not worth it. Or maybe you think you can save me? Will you love me? Care for me? Heal all my pain? That's what I thought.
The way that Keel does it. She says this in an already self-defeating attitude. This version of Angela knows that James or any other person won't do those things for her, that she's too messed up of a person to save, that there's little hope that there will be someone who will actually be there for her. Meanwhile, Burke's version is way more aggressive.
Or maybe you think you can save me. Will you love me? Take care of me? Heal all my pain? That's what I thought.
She basically spits it back at James. Basically tell him to go fuck you and your savior complex. Because you don't know a thing about my life. So how can you take this disgusting package with all of its messy pieces and help me? This is further supported by the camera angle. Look at how Angela is looking down at James, and in turn, you, the player, with disdain. The remake version of this moment has Angela at a lower angle through James's shoulder, which makes her look smaller, vulnerable.
Give me back the knife.
No, I won't.
Saving it for yourself. Have it your way. It doesn't change anything.
It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too? For me, it's always like this.
Remake's version of Angela says this line pretty simply. It's very matter-of-factly. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, because it's a really cool way of interpreting it. because we're currently experiencing what Angela feels on a normal basis. But the original Angela's version has more weight to it.
It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too. For me, it's always like this.
For one, she gives more pause in the comma, for me, because again, she has to reiterate to James, who clearly doesn't get it, that this is her life that she is living, not his. And she also emphasizes always. It's always like this. It makes James, and in turn the player, realize that this staircase, what you're seeing and what you're feeling, that's Angela's day to day. And like I said again, this is definitely affected by the fact that I played the original first, so it's probably going to set more of an impression on me, but at least there's some way that I can explain why this has stuck with me for all this time. James Sunderland is interesting because, to be honest, this is probably as subjective as it gets. I kind of like both versions in their own way. For Remake James, he's actually a person. You kind of get the sense that he is an everyman, someone who is just like us, yet in circumstances that are completely out of his league, so he's immediately someone that we can root for. You can also see more of his personality too, where he definitely wants to help and be there for others, even if they're complete strangers. Original James, maybe partially not intentional, has a very dreamlike, David Lynchian kind of performance. He feels like he actually belongs with the rest of the characters of Silent Hill 2, rather than being perceived as the normal one compared to others. This can be attributed to Team Silent's choice to not tell actor Guy Seehee any of the story or the endings, receiving the script and direction right before shooting. This is why original James feels kind of weird, like he's traversing through a fog, lost and confused the entire time because the actor is experiencing the same thing. But also to note, Jeremy Blostein, one of the performance directors of the original Silent Hill 2, cited Lost Highways by David Lynch as a direct inspiration, so his direction might probably steer Seehee into this kind of delivery. And don't get it twisted, Guy Seehee as James can actually act. His sole line in the Maria ending was chillingly menacing.
You'd better do something about that cough.
And his bedside scene with Mary, you can sense the catharsis of James confessing to Mary that after all this repression, he really said what he wasn't able to all this time.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer. No. That's not true. You also said you didn't want to die. The truth is, I hated you. I wanted you out of the way. I wanted my life back.
Now that being said, these are two completely different characters, but in the end, I kind of just love them both. Let's talk about Maria and the jail scene, because overall, Maria in both versions are pretty great, and they serve their purpose of being a mysterious, alluring figure that James secretly desired. But the jail scene is where I suddenly split my opinion, and specifically chose the original Maria, performed by Monica Taylor Horgan. Specifically because of the difference of the acting choices between these two Marias, and how they ultimately change our perspective of the character, and even the town of Silent Hill itself. Now, this is a pretty big statement, so let's start by comparing both versions' acting choices. Maria in the original scene had a relaxed posture. She slouches forward with her hands on top of each other. Her expression is in a soft smile that should be comforting, but this bright light that casts down her darkens her eyes, which is a deliberate choice to make her appear not all the way human-like. It's this contrast of ease and unsettledness that is ingrained into the game's identity. Now, let's compare this to the remake version of the scene where Maria is more upright. Her back is against the chair while her eyes is steadily fixed to James. To me, this reads as more strict, expectant, malicious when you compare it to the original. The lighting is much softer here, which centers on her head like a halo. It doesn't feel off-putting, feels plain, maybe even pleasant. This is a very deliberate choice to have the lighting very different from the original. And it's not like they can't do the same original lighting. They've actually done it at the very beginning of the game, in the bathroom where James's eyes were obscured by the bathroom light. This sort of cold demeanor persists in the line delivery too, that even if she's saying lines that are supposed to be concerning or reminiscing, there's this underlying bitterness that's very judgmental. Like, what she's really saying is, you know what you've done.
You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything. But you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
In the original, Maria does the same thing, but only specifically on the line, I'm not your Mary.
You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
It's chilling. It stuck out like a sore thumb because of how seemingly sweet the lines beforehand were delivered. Again, it creates this unsettling, distorted perception on how we're supposed to believe whether Maria is even real, or what she even is trying to say through these lines. Another effect of these different acting choices is that there is a stark contrast between the power dynamics of both scenes. And what I mean is that it feels like James is the one who's behind the bars, and Maria is the jailer who is supposed to watch/punish James. That is my interpretation of it, at least, and it could be wrong, but based off what I think, it's actually really good. It fits with the story and the framing of James's mind and desire for punishment. However, the original makes it more unclear, because to me, it looks like Maria is a bird in a cage, a princess waiting for her hero to save her from this castle. But then she exerts power over James by having answers that he wants and tempts him to go get it. It presents both jailer and prisoner in equal measure. And the reason why I prefer this interpretation is because Maria, in a way, is also a victim to the town of Silent Hill. How this is shown is through the sub-story of the original game, Born from a Wish, where we see Maria right before she meets James. Without explaining too much, a point this story tells is that Maria was born without her consent, that she exists for the sole purpose to fulfill a man's desire and his desire for punishment. And this role is something that she doesn't even want to do, to the point where she considers unborning. It again perpetuates this mystery about Maria and this town, but also question about how we should feel about Maria as an entity, not her role in the story. That, to me, is why I prefer the original Maria. And turns out, I'm not the only one. YouTube comments about this particular comparison echo some of the thoughts I have, so maybe I'm not too crazy about thinking this way. I really hope what I said here made sense, and in some way is also enlightening. I love these games, and I love performance in general, so this video serves as an interesting way to marry the two. In the end, I'm just glad that not only Bloober Team gets to win, but Silent Hill gets to win after all these years. Here's to hoping that we get more good Silent Hill content moving forward. If you enjoyed this content and would like to see more, please consider doing all the YouTube stuff like liking, subscribing, commenting. It would mean the world that anyone can show an inkling of support of the stuff I passionately love would love to do more of it as a career, maybe. Anyways, have a good day. How do I end videos?